it's Stephanie Garcia, and welcome to another episode of Lights, Camera, Live. So listen, you got to tell me the truth. Are you still spending hours editing your podcast episodes and your show notes? Because let me tell you, I've been there. I have been creating content since 2016, and I know exactly what it's like to repurpose your content. And so I want you to sit back and relax because I'm going to show you this amazing AI tool that has completely changed my world. Because here's the thing. What if you could automate those tasks with the wave of a magic wand? Greg Wasserman, Head of Growth and Partnerships and Community over at CastMagic, is going to be joining the show today to show you his AI sorcery to the podcast production. And let me tell you, it's absolutely spellbinding. So having said that, if you're here, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm here in gloomy San Diego. Gloomy San Diego, but we're doing really well. So let me know where you're tuning in from. And having said that, let's go ahead and bring Greg onto the show. Greg, how you doing?
I'm laughing at gloomy San Diego. San Diego's 72 and sunny normally, so yeah, I get it. We get used to having nice weather, but I'm doing great. It sure as hell beats being in the cold.
It sure does. And let me tell you, I love that you have a standing desk because I have to imagine you're hopping from one presentation, another webinar. You have all these features and it's just like, wow, you are a marathon.
I couldn't imagine doing the sitting. I tried that, and I'm like, no, I've got the double stack. I'm able to look at it and work the core all day. I don't know.
Oh gosh, I love that. Yeah, nope. Me, I like my sitting desk. Everyone that's tuning in, the facilitator. Oh, hey, that's Aid. I tried standing, and I realized I am not a standing desk person when it comes to presenting or doing a live stream or trying to do a demo. It's interesting. It's all good. It's all good. I have another one here that says, hello, it couldn't possibly be gloomy in San Diego. Oh, it is, friend.
Right?
I will absolutely show you. All right, so if you're just tuning in, I'm going to be giving the floor over to Greg because honestly, this is one of those tools where I saw my good friend Tanya Smith show it and I was like, you got to be kidding me. Because I feel like since the immersion of AI, my content workflow process has evolved. And I was like, okay, I think I got it nailed down. And then I got introduced to Greg, Katie, and the ECAMM family. I was like, you guys, we need to stop and definitely have CastMagic on our upcoming Leap into Live Streaming boot camp and talk all about the things because this right here, friends, I need you to pay attention to this, right? Because this is one of those things where you could actually turn conversations into content like magic. And when I say that, it's, yes, I know you have ChatGPT prompts and all those other things, but this is like a click of a button and you get all the things and all the things that you need to turn those conversations into customers or into conversions, whatever you look. And look at all these amazing people that they have in here. You can't tell me that you don't know some of these people. Right? So before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to my adorable, amazing, wonderful Katie Simpson. It says, I'm not a standing type of person in general. So, hey, we're on the same team. I don't know. Greg, you're kind of outnumbered at this point.
Look, I don't drink coffee. I'm a ball of energy. So to sit down would be just fidgeting all day. So standing, it's like great. And then like I got the iOS app, so I'm just taking notes all day, like recording my thoughts, walking around the room instead of getting up. I'm already doing it. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it's all about the process.
You're like the living, breathing version of everything is content.
Uh, yeah, I guess so. No, I mean you do better. You actually have the video. You're taking this, like you repurpose your content so well. And that's why you're probably also talking with me because I'm like, great, how do we get you doing even more? But how do we get your audience doing so much more? Because there's so much content out there that's just sitting in our brains. Like, how do we get that out there so that we can use it and not thinking about perfection of like, all right, I have to be perfect. I have to write this perfect. Like, no, I clearly don't speak well. I'm not the greatest,
You
but
do.
I can just ramble my thoughts and then have those thoughts turned into the text that I would go like, ooh, that sounds better than what I was actually rambling.
You're like, ooh, that was better. Yeah,
Right?
it's one of those things where everything is content. And for this user here, it says, I have CastMagic, but need to learn to use it. You are absolutely in the right place. So for those of you who don't know, I'm most known for turning a single live stream into 94 pieces of content. And really, whether it's a podcast episode, a live stream, a webinar, impromptu interviews in the hallways when you're unconferencing, right? I could take a single live stream and turn it into 94 pieces of content, whether it's a long form LinkedIn newsletter, You and I were just talking about you're working on a newsletter, right? Blog post, ebook, and then what I like to call digital confetti. And so I have the process of using Descript for making video clips and whatnot, but it was always like making that social media copy, getting the summary. And then you even blew my mind when you started talking about like, hey, Stephanie, CastMagic is actually really great too if you're doing any biz development. So I want to preface that now for those of you that are tuning in. This isn't just only for podcasting or live streaming, but this is really if you want to build your business and your bottom line, we have this amazing solution for you. And the facilitator says the showrunner episode about content repurposing was awesome. So let's go. Having said that, let me go ahead. I think this is your screen. Shall we hit the ground running? Let's go.
So if we think about what you've just described, like you are a creator, you're doing a live stream, you're a creator. I'm not, but I'll call myself one. Why? Because every one of us is a creator now, and that's the joys. So I post consistently. LinkedIn is where I am, but I'm like, how do I post every day on LinkedIn without having to write a LinkedIn post every day and something new, every fresh and whatever? I'm like, it's just too hard. So that's what I love about CastMagic. It allows me to do all of those things. So if we're looking here, I always like to start here with just an overview of you can take a podcast and out of the box, it's going to create all my LinkedIn, my social posts. It's going to create the timestamps, pull out quotes. You can take a YouTube file and it's going to create all these pieces of content. Meetings. I mean, I have to imagine, Stephanie, you're like me. I'm in a meeting and I said something. I'm like, oh, Stephanie, what did I say? And you're like, I know I was listening, but like I don't remember. And I'm like, oh, come on, what did I say? We start trying to figure it out. Now you can actually record that and make sure that like those words are actually documented. Your thoughts are documented. Take in coaching calls. Like if you're doing coaching, if you're bringing on clients and you're trying to monetize your business there, well, why wouldn't you want to go ahead and create a worksheet, create your goals and objectives, pull out quotes. I'll show you what I love to do with my coaching sessions is turn them into LinkedIn posts because like, why wouldn't I want to go ahead and say, this is a great recording I just had for my client, but also there's great nuggets that I can go ahead and sell in terms of content that I can put out there.
Okay, wait, pause. Because go back to coaching because I thought this was really cool. I love that you have a session worksheet. Like what's a session worksheet like? It's like, okay, we talked about these are your action items. These are the milestones. You hold them accountable?
Yeah, you've got the worksheet, like, all right, go figure this out, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then goals and objectives, like what did we talk about? And here are the goals that we kind of outline. It's all pulled from that recording. So all you have to do is now put the recording in, and it's going to extract all this insights for you. So I always like to think about who facilitators talking about your repurposing. Mm-hmm. I think about repurposing as multiple ways. Yeah. One, how do I take a piece of content and turn it into a LinkedIn post? Great. So there's a social promotion. But how do I take a coaching call and turn that not only into a LinkedIn post, but also objectives and session worksheet or a course, creating a worksheet from there that I can go ahead and give to someone or pull out those quotes and then those quotes become my LinkedIn post because it's already extracting this.
Okay, hold on a second. You guys, are you listening to this? Like, completely mind-blowing. Like the part that I'm just like, wait a second, you could do session quotes, you could do session worksheets. Saeed, I know that you're listening and you're watching in the background. Greg, he's all the way over in Germany, I think. So, and I love that he says, finally, someone's talking about LinkedIn. That's amazing.
That's where I live.
Yeah. Tell me about the analogy piece. Is this because sometimes when I am coaching clients, just telling them head on, this is what you should do doesn't work. And so incorporating an analogy or a metaphor, some type of story to get them from point A to point B usually helps out. Are you saying that CastMagic can pull out the analogies that I'm dropping?
Yeah, so that's the way I love, there's a prompt I'll show you. It's analogy, metaphor, and parable. That's how my brain thinks. I'm like, great, I run every coaching call through that or every call through that going like, even podcasts, like how do I describe what this whole thing was in an easy metaphor for.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, because oftentimes, you know, you have your coaching calls and you want to share the win, let's say on LinkedIn, but you don't want to disclose certain things about that person so they don't feel as if like, oh, he's outing me. And so that this creates something really cool here. This is, I'm all about using this for LinkedIn. This is Irene. Oh, Irene, great. Greg, okay, the floor is yours. Continue, my friend. People are already in love.
So I can do sales. I can run my sales calls through this, and I'll show you some examples on that where uh, literally had a call with a CastMagic member, and they're like, "Look, we call them magicians. So you're a magician, right? CastMagic is your magic wand. So
Yes.
you are able then to take that call and go, great. They gave me all this great feedback of what they were trying to do with the product. I'm like, all right, let me try to understand this. Instead of recording that call and giving it to our product team, going, this is what this person's trying to figure out, I ran it through here. I'm like, what is the problems they're trying to solve? What are the issues? How could we do this? Gave it to the team. I'm like, team, now you don't have to listen to this 20-minute meeting. You literally have all the answers there. So now you can figure out how do we as a team use this, or me personally use this for whatever sales calls I've got.
Yeah.
Understanding, are they talking about competitors? It's like we've built in out of the box these 7 different profiles based on the kind of content you've got. Oh, I love
Okay.
that little
I
hat.
know. I was like, well, you called me a
They're a
magician.
magician.
I have to do this. Wait, okay, go back to customer discovery
Yeah.
and then customer insights. So is that kind of like picking up, oh, well, you have customer needs in their tool. Okay, here's a
You
question
want
for
to see
you.
these in execution? I'll show you execution.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, we'll do that too. And then what if so even for me, I'm really interested in a client's communication style. Can I put in my own prompts in these little
Yes.
magical things? Oh God, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going because we've got Michelle hopping in the conversation, or people are tagging their friends. Hey, tag your friends. You got people in sales, business, entrepreneurs, content creators. Come on through.
Hold on, I want to comment on the facilitators. The robot uprising has finally begun. No, the joy is it is you. That is the difference here. Nothing can replicate me. Yes, you can say, what is it? OpenAI is now like, show me puppies playing in the snow, and I've seen those videos going around. But like my words, my thoughts, my strategy, like that is where this tool is now going to allow me to pull and extract those insights from it.
Smart.
So courses is the other one that we've got built in. So creating the worksheet, creating the lead magnet. I love what I do is I take my podcast, I use a prompt called Course Creator. It literally turns every recording into a course. Go into like PowerPoint, Canva, whatever, build that out. Also, I use pages in here, which allows me to build out that course. And then once I record it, now it's giving me a worksheet lead magnet to go sell that course. And like, great. All I had to do is, once again, as you know, record one piece of content and get all these other pieces out of it.
Okay, wild. I can't wait to see how this actually looks on the back end because that's going to be really exciting.
So I have multiple spaces. That's a great thing. Like I'm not a one-trick pony. I've got all these different spaces with all different profiles depending on the content I've got. So we love the coaching piece. Let's go talk about the coaching. Let's
Yeah.
go look at what it is. So everything starts with the transcript. You have to label your speakers, as you know, but let's look at what the content it's giving me. Based on this one call, session 15 with Rob, gave me a summary, gave me the keywords. Like, I love this from a keyword standpoint. You put that in an Excel spreadsheet so I can start understanding from my standpoint, not from a coaching, but like, what do I keep talking about? What are the common things either with this client or as a whole? And I can look at it from a holistic standpoint or client by client. Like, what do we keep talking about? And then if I put that in a spreadsheet, I can go like, all right, what am I always, why are we going? Like, think about it as therapy. Are we still working on the same thing? What points are keep coming up?
Yeah.
Timestamp. I'm like, great, I can share this with my client. So if we use the share link, I'm like, great. Now I'm enhancing my coaching ability. Going like, great, here's our call. You want to listen to it? Go play it. You want to read it? Great. And then I can enable the content for them. So like, here's the timestamps. If you want to go and fast forward to where we talked about, I have no equity, give me money type thing, then
Yeah.
great. Go to the 40-minute mark. You've already got that. So you've now starting to enable you to give more value, not only for your podcasters, for your coaches, for your internal meetings, all these functions all built in within CastMagic.
I love this. And I'll tell you why is because sometimes when clients are having this internal conversation of how do they pump them up, right? Like for me, if I'm excited for something, I'm like, let's go. Like that's the key word to get me excited. And some clients would be like, we got this. But like when you're able to take out their key words that motivate them to get them across the finish line, I think that helps us so much as a consultant and as a business coach. This
Well,
is
I
great.
love what you just said. I'm now pulling out quotes. I got quotes from Rob and quotes from me. So now I can turn these in. I love to turn this back into how do I take a coaching call and turn this into something valuable? This is now a quote that I said. Great. Could I put that as the top of my LinkedIn post? Could I put that as the top of my newsletter? Like, these are quotes that I'm saying on coaching calls that are smart things that I'm actually saying during that, but I can figure out how do I repurpose it.
I love that. There are often times where I'm in a brainstorming sessions with a client and we're doing a branding strategy. And sometimes we'll say a tagline like, oh my gosh, that's merch. We got to put that on a shirt or on a bag or all these things. But before we get started to the next section, here's a question for you, Greg, and I'll read this out loud. So this is Saeed. He's saying, I host workshops on trainings on Zoom and I record them by default. How do I get my 94 pieces of content out of this? Okay, we'll walk you through it.
There we go. We'll go through the course one for you. Definitely. So here it created a worksheet. So analyzing customer data, setting up automation, effective. Like, it is creating a functional review each topic and reflect on how it relates to your podcast minutes. Jot down key insights. It is literally like journaling prompts, giving me ideas of what we talked about and now making sure that I'm flushing them out. Use this worksheet as a reference guide for your actions and decision making. There you go.
I love this. I love
Pulling
that
out
you
questions.
questions. Yeah.
Questions is a big thing that I love because repurposing questions, these become FAQs. These become segments that I can cut up my piece of content. So as you know, how do I take a video? Well, great. How could I turn these little pieces and record now an additional response and turn your one video with 10 more questions into 10 more little video segments answering these questions?
Stop. Okay, one of my favorite things that I tell people is do the 10 by 10 formula when you're creating content. It's the top 10 frequently asked questions about your business, your product, or your service, or the top 10 should ask questions, questions that people should be asking. It's like, okay, great. You have a workshop that you're doing, Saeed, but how are you creating worksheets? Have you thought about that? And that could be content. So these questions right here, Greg, are these questions that your client was asking you on the call, or these questions?
These are questions that are being extracted based on what was discussed. So how can setting up automation to group customers based on their uses of a product service benefit both the customers and company? We probably discussed that in some regards on our coaching session, but now for my own, if I want to turn this into a piece of content, great. This came up in our conversation. Let me go ahead and record myself and answer this question and turn that piece of content into another piece of content. Or you play the macro game here, or the meta game here, and it's like, great, let me take these 10 questions, record 10 pieces of content, load those 10 pieces in, get 10 more questions, and just rinse and repeat. And all I had to do is just start with one, and
Yeah,
then just keep creating and creating from there.
that's brilliant.
So
I
your
think,
analogy, imagine you're a gardener who wants to grow the most beautiful flowers in town. You carefully select your seeds to make your garden truly stand out, the same way as podcasting. So it gave me an analogy based on what we were talking about.
I love this.
Wrote my email for me so I can go ahead and
No
go, hey,
way.
here's here here's here's your worksheet, here's everything else. It's already automating that. Goals and objectives, what do we talk about? And then you like the LinkedIn. So I turn this coaching session into a saved prompt. So Magic Chat is where I come, and it's like ChatGPT built in. I'm now able to come up and automate my own prompts. So in this case, I wanted a LinkedIn one. I'm like, great, turn this coaching call now into something that could go post out there for all to see because this is great insights and has nothing to do with who the client is in this specific case.
We have, I think this is Irene, whoever it is. Yeah, let me know. It says, this is Mega. I'm doing a daily video newsletter answering common questions about podcasting. My hubby said, why don't you get paid for this? Well, now I can. I love that. I can through CastMagic. Hey, look at that. How you like that? There you go.
I mean, it's truly the it's I always like to coach people, and I'm sure you do, with 94 pieces of content. It's a volume game, right? With with one piece of content, I now get 94 out there, which now builds my brand, which gets me more visibility, which then leads to, as this Facebook user saying, monetization opportunities because I'm being seen more, I'm getting engagement more, but I'm also now building a newsletter, building a blog, building website content, social promotion, all from just that one piece of content.
That's brilliant.
So that is the coaching. We were asked about the courses one. So
Yes.
same concept, right? Load a course in here. So I don't know if I covered this. How do I get content in here? I can take a YouTube, Vimeo, Reel, TikTok. I can drag and drop and upload it from my computer. I can go take an RSS feed. So if I guest against someone's podcast or my own, or someone's pieces of content from their podcast I want to bring here for inspiration, bring it in here. So had this one, Katie did a call with her, and she's like, show me how to do this. So we found her YouTube video,
Yeah.
and she told me who people were. And then we quickly, like, all right, I don't know I didn't know it. You know your own course, e-commerce strategy. She's like, yeah, that's exactly what we did. I'm like, great. It gave me session themes, 5 conceptual takeaways. Who doesn't want that going? Like, if you are going to take this course, here are the conceptual takeaways you're going to get from it. Timestamps so you can tell people like where they need to go and watch. Pulled
Yeah.
out quotes. How do we re-leverage those quotes, as I've already talked about? Organizing topics, but now you got my worksheet. And the great thing about it, everything is editable. It's AI, right? So AI is going to get you the 20 pieces of content or the 90 pieces of content. Now you just have to edit 90 pieces instead of trying to write all those. So I've got this worksheet with a answer guide, and then I've got a quiz that gives me answers. So record your course. Who wants to go ahead and like, all right, what are the questions we're going to ask? What are the answers to this? Like, it literally pulled that all out from that. So hopefully, facilitator, that helps answer how do you now take your course that you filmed and create all these pieces of content, a social media post, a lesson memo, and then your lead magnet, and then anything else you may want to extract. You
Yeah.
just use Magic Chat and you start coming up with write a LinkedIn post. I could click there and save it. I can start building more content based on
Yeah.
that course. Rinse and repeat.
Amazing. And I think Irene was the one who said, is it wrong to have a crush on an app?
No, it's a life changer for me. I mean, here's a good one. I take our iOS app and I
Mm-hmm.
just, as I was talking about when we started, like I'll wander around, I'll get off this call. I'm like, all right, like, you know what? The facilitator had a question. I'm going to record the answer to that question in my phone, and then I've got that turned into content. So here's a good example. I had a conversation with someone about breaking the fourth wall. You break the fourth wall so well. You bring in your audience. It's just not the two of us talking. Podcasters need to do more of that. Bring them in instead of being a fly. So I had
Yeah.
a conversation with someone like they didn't know what that was. I'm like, all right, well, if you don't know, then maybe other people. That's a good piece of content. Recorded my thought in the app for 2 minutes, and now I've got an endless supply of, just based on the prompts I've come up with, 8 different LinkedIn posts to say the same thing but 8 different ways. Endless supply of content. And as you know, the reason why you need the volume play is just because I said it one way once doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean next week I can't say it another way. And all I'm doing is taking that a core piece of content, my 2 minute thought, and going like every week I know a piece of content I can post to just
Yeah.
hammer in this idea and then start seeing what engagement I get on each post.
This is brilliant. I love this. And here's another question from our good friend, the facilitator. He says, I'm not a fan of the chat GPT language. It all sounds the same over time. How can I develop my own style? So I know we
Ooh,
could add in our own prompts. Can we do any of like stylistic tone of voice stuff?
I got you here. So if you're seeing here, I've got these prompts all with people's names. Why? Because I found I'm like, I like their content. So I took their content from LinkedIn. I'm like, all right, I can't write like this, but I really like this. I would not think about how to structure something like this. So you already did the work for me. Now I have to just figure out what did they do? And so I just reverse engineered what they said into the prompt. And now
Mm-hmm.
as you can see, every piece of content I load in here is in their format, my words. My thought, my literally 2 minute thought about breaking the fourth wall. Are you truly engaging your audience with podcasting efforts? If you felt that question hit a nerve, you're not alone. Well, that's exactly what this is. If you're truly driving revenue with your marketing efforts, if you felt that question hit a nerve, you're not alone. Talks about the podcast. Spoiler, like it's literally that. So if you already have a style, if you have a blog, if you have
Yeah.
show notes, if you have a newsletter, paste that in there. That's your writing. Here I'm taking someone else's content piece, and that's how it's going to be my words, because it's my recording,
Yep.
in a structure that I want. There you go.
Okay, time out. Okay, let
Time out.
me let me let me tell you why I'm geeking out over this so much. So, Lights Camera Live Crew, you know that I love creating Instagram Reels and TikTok. And oftentimes, when I'm creating that content, I'm usually following some type of format or I'm modeling a script that has already worked. And so, I would actually just okay, Greg, you're gonna laugh. I would download the TikTok video, put it into Descript, get the script, and then say, okay, how would I put this in my own words? But now you're saying I could basically just run it through here and just create a collection of the greatest hits that I've noticed about direct to consumer ads on TikTok or UGC content created stuff and just start building like how I want my scripts to be. At least that's how
Yeah.
I'm seeing how I would implement this as a marketer.
No, I mean, you wouldn't have to go to the script. You would just go ahead, take that TikTok reel, import it in here, and then ask it to do whatever it is you wanted based on that script.
Okay, so if all right, obviously I'm curating a lot of content, I'm analyzing content, performance and all that other stuff. Is there a limit to how much I can start analyzing and creating from here?
No, so the way it works, it's all minutes based. So if I upload a 2 minute thought, right, it's 2 minutes against my 300 minutes on my plan. And then once it's in here, I go to town. But the nice thing is I've already automated all the content that I need. So I can always add more. I can add more prompts, or I could just say, oh, you know what? I only want to do something for this specific recording. So here we
Mm-hmm.
go. You're an independent movie script writer. Write a script for a 5 minute short based on this record, and the target audience that will watch are podcasters. And it'll literally fade in excitedly, confused. It wrote me a script based on that 2 minute piece. Now, as you can tell, I was talking to a script writer. So we started playing like write a script for me to record a YouTube video about the concepts of this recording, transition, main concept. So it gave me, once again, it's all about content prompting. So I had to figure out what the right prompt would be to try and get the output.
Sure.
Doing on the fly, both prompts I came up with weren't the exact what we were looking for, but the person I was talking to, like, oh, I see this, because they know how to prompt far better than I do, because they understand what they're trying to get as the output. I didn't understand it. I'm not a script writer.
But you actually have community prompts. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because you have a strong Slack community, cast or magicians.
Magicians. Uh, yeah, because like at the end of the day, you're like, this is amazing. I'm giving you all these things out of the box. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I'm learning how to prompt. I'm learning about AI. So great. We've already built in here an ability for you to pull from what others have done. And then, as you mentioned, we have a Slack community of over 1,300. There's a channel called Favorite Prompts. I've aggregated a bunch of those prompts into a Notion doc. So you're not, once again, not starting from scratch. And because it's community driven, ask your question. You're like, hey, I'm trying to do this. Who else is there's probably someone in 1,300 people who's probably thought about it. If not, I'm going to play around with it and see if I can come up with a prompt because I want to learn. But yeah, you're not alone. It's product driven. It's community driven. We're here to help each other.
I
That's a
always,
joy, is like we could all use the same prompt, but because the input, the content you're using is different, the output's going to be different. That's why it's sharing is caring.
that's what I love. It's also it's how you communicate. It's your style. It's your vibe, right? And then you're just using AI or CastMagic in this sense to really help you distribute your content out there and reach a lot more people because not everyone is always going to watch, let's say, a 30-minute live stream. They may just want the blog post. They may just want the greatest hits on LinkedIn as a carousel and whatnot and go about it that way. All right, so for those of you that are just joining in, because I see the numbers go up and down, we're talking about CastMagic and one of the best ways for you to repurpose your content, whether you're a podcaster, a live streamer, content creator, all in general. But more importantly, I would say if you're in the business of sales, if you're having coaching calls, you're a consultant, this is one of the best tools that's out there. It's all in one, I feel like. Every single one of my conversations. I mean, the reason why I'm creating content, Greg, is so I get clients. And so to figure out, all right, clients are asking me these questions, therefore I should create that content. And that content could be short form content, long form content, video, blog, whatever. And it's just it's this whole entire content workflow. It's like you get into CastMagic and you're woven into the spell. It's like, I don't even see myself getting out of the app. I feel like it's always just open.
I love it. Like, you are camera friendly. That is your place. Some people may not. They're like, all right, that's not my thing. Then great. I got people I know that record looms, or they'll just record themselves on a Zoom call, or just, like I said, use the app and just record those questions. If your camera ready is not your thing, then great. Just get the content and
Yeah.
repurpose it. And those thoughts and so forth are just away. But here's the other one. So, as I was describing, I had this call and this lady had some great feedback. So I just loaded into her customer one. She told me her pain points, organized the misunderstanding of prompts, the challenges with the language, inability. I'm like, great. Literally just copied that, sent it off to the team. I'm like, hey, team, here you go. Or I actually sent the share file, problems to solve, the customer needs, the solution, product considerations, or budget. We didn't talk about that because she's a user, right? But like,
Mm-hmm.
it's extracting all these pieces from that sales call that that I don't have to now sit here. I can actually engage and think about it and turn into more pieces of content or leverage it for my own understanding. It's repurposing.
Yeah,
And
this is so brilliant because even as a marketer, I have clients where they'll say, "Hey, this actually just happened this morning. I went to an American Marketing Association San Diego coffee meetup, and he was talking about how his clients always create like these top of the funnel awareness campaigns, and then they don't have any middle of the funnel content, and so the SDRs are like, what do we have to fill in that gap?" And so when you're able to get a sales call, run it through here and say, okay, these are the customer pain points. These are the common questions that we're getting. I need you to create lead magnets, webinars, content around all this stuff. So that way, when they come to the table, I'm not always having to re-educate them, but I could give them the resources that they needed. Or to your point, customize it in such a way where they're like, oh, I'm just going to hop on the app, answer Saeed's question, and then go for it.
so I love that you use this from a sales standpoint. So another cool use case that I was playing around with and did one this morning. So gentleman here, he has a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and the episode was rethinking the role of the BDR in 2024. So let's say I was a BDR and I want to engage not only with other BDRs and build my brand in the BDR realm. Great. I would take his episode here, pull it in here, and now it's going to give me all these great. So now I've got titles, which become my LinkedIn post, or they become other pieces that I can use. And then the others, it's going to pull out quotes. So if I wanted to start engaging with this person, I could go post on LinkedIn and going, I loved what Jensen had to say about the BDR world, and this is what it is. And now I'm truly just using their engaging. Jensen's going to go like, oh, I'm so glad you like that, engage. So now I'm working with someone else in my space. And because of the way that LinkedIn works, my content's now being posted. He's seeing it, his network's seeing it. So now I'm really starting to engage with the BDR world. And then I can start turning that into a LinkedIn post, going like, all right, if I wanted to know, because it's editable, if I want to add my own 2 cents to what he said, but it's already formatted as a LinkedIn post,
Mm-hmm.
great, I got it, post it, there you go. Now I'm building my brand, my authenticity based on what this other conversation's gone, but I'm putting my own 2 cents. Or everything comes back to questions. Where was it? Did I pass it? Jump. Questions. What could I start answering any of these 10 questions that were basically covered by their 30-minute podcast and going like, what is the role of BDR image changed in 2024? What factors? I got my own thoughts on this one. This is a great one. I'm going to go record my own answers to these. So I'm taking other people's content, building my own content by answering the questions that come out of this.
This is a game changer, especially for those of you that like to batch create content. Literally, if you just take your last sales call, your last discovery call, your coaching call and whatnot, and just run through and you say, okay, that's 10 questions right there. And then you send it off to go get, a short form video editor, or you just leverage the audiograms or the graphics that come with this too. It's amazing. Greg, before we jump forward, the facilitator Saeed is asking, what are the limitations of the trial?
Great question. It's a one upload, 7-day trial. So upload, and then from an upload standpoint, limitations are 4 hours, and then 5 gig is your file size. But yeah, go ahead and choose. And once again, the joy is doing onboarding. So I'll walk you through. You can schedule an onboarding call and literally walk you through step by step on how to set everything up. We've got all the resources that I keep doing. You join our Slack community, answer questions, but most people, they skip the 7-day trial and they go straight into it. But hey, totally get it.
Yeah, no. I love that there is a free trial because there are some apps out there where you don't even have that opportunity. You have to jump in and make a commitment already. But as you guys can see, I mean, there's so many use cases for this. So whether you're only a content creator, right, and you want to repurpose your content, but so many of you guys in my audience, you are business owners, you're small businesses, you're entrepreneurs, or you're content creators that are trying to monetize your content. And so for those of you that are trying to monetize your content, as you saw, you could literally take an interview, a podcast episode, turn it into a worksheet, especially if you're talking about things about mindset. There's so much that you can offer here. And I love this comment, Greg. It says, it's great value. It really is. Like at this point, you have to realize how many apps have I been hopping into do the follow-up email or to do this or to do that. And then what was that prompt again? What did I name it? There's so many tweaks, but then here, it's all in here. And then there's also that built-in community where you could ask for feedback. Hey, these are the type of results that I get. How are you refining your prompt? Or how would you refine my prompt to get better results? And obviously you have Greg here who's like, who's using this, I feel like 24/7 when he's not sleeping and like daily, and he'll give you all the different use cases. Cause weren't you just at a conference? You were at PodFest, or which one was it?
Podcast Movement, but
Podcast
that was
Movement.
I didn't make Podfest, but yeah, I mean the joy is that so that idea came. So if we go back, I think this is where you're going. So we keep coming up. It's user led, right?
Yeah.
So I've got these 8 that we've built in here, but there's other ones in the back end. So
Mm-hmm.
I went to a conference and I'm like, you guys, there's 500 hours of content here. Like I'm never, even if I attended a panel every hour, I missed 9 panels because there was 10 going on every hour.
Let's go. Yeah.
I'm already skipping 4 days of work to go attend and learn. And if you're like me, you don't end up going to most sessions because you end up just talking and meeting, and that's all about the network. And you're like, oh, but there was still so much information. So I'm like, well, couldn't we go ahead and take that information, those recordings, and create a profile? So here's a good example. I went to an event last week, and this was a live podcast recording. But if you think about it, it was really just 2 hosts talking to 3 panelists. So it could have been an event as well as just a podcast. So I ran it through the event profile. And now, even if no one attended or they were too busy talking, out of the box, it's going to give me a summary of what it was. Speaker bios, because, hey, I already know what they introduced themselves. What are the themes about it? Timestamps if I want to go listen. Pulled out quotes, topics, lessons learned. So if you went to this event, what would you have learned? And what are the action items? And then questions that came out of it. So now imagine you went to a conference. If you're in the event space, whether it's virtual or in person, and going, great, I would love to have all this accessible, not only to watch the content, but if I want to just get the download of what it is, here you go. Here are shareable pages that you can embed into your platform or share with the attendees and the audience. Now it's really being repurposed because your audience is talking about it. The speakers are talking about it. I mean, you and I are going to be speaking on a stage. Like, I would love to have all that content run into here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, great, now I'm going to repurpose what I just said in the Q&As that people asked during it. That's all just
It's a
great
no-brainer.
content. It's a no-brainer.
So here's what this gets me really excited. So I am speaking at an event next week. It's the Abundance Now Summit, 3-day summit for coaches and consultants that want to get better in building their business. And so my talk is already recorded. There is a Facebook group for the speakers. There's also a Facebook group for the attendees. My thing is now I could run my talk through this, and then when my session actually airs, I could go into the Facebook group and engage with the attendees and say, okay, so what about this? What did you think about this? Or now I have things that I could prompt them and make that Facebook group really just like popping as far as conversations go. I also love the idea of making these conferences really accessible. I just came back from social media marketing world, and in that Facebook group, a lot of people are saying like, hey, how do you share information about what you learned at the conference with the rest of your peers because they sent you as the representative? Run it through CastMagic, and then now you could do a presentation that practically wows your entire team in your company, get you that promotion. Hey, thanks CastMagic. Helping us magicians make more money and all the things, abundance, yes. And that's amazing. And shout out to Jason who's saying, am I the first comment? Maybe on LinkedIn. You know how LinkedIn is. But the one that I love, Greg, is this one where it says, well, I've been listening. I've downloaded the beta iOS app, set up an onboarding call, and joined their Slack.
There you go.
Let's go.
And I've automated. I've already introduced myself, so hopefully everything I already told you when you join Slack is helpful, and you start understanding how to use it. And you'll see Stephanie on there.
That's right. Cool. All right. Anything else that we want to share? Because, I mean, we've talked about how to use this at conferences, how to use this for business development, sales, coaching, client discovery
let's go
calls.
deeper into business development. So
Let's do that.
Let's say, so here is, I want to engage with a community that I'm part of, BDRs, right? But now let's say I want to try and get in touch, and I'm trying to sell to CMOs, and in this case, the CMO for Lufthansa Group. Well, I found a interview he did, 12-minute interview, brought into CastMagic, gave me all this content, and now I am able to go ahead, since these are questions that he kind of answered during that 12-minute, I can start posting, what do people think about this? So the struggle I had before CastMagic was, I didn't understand, if you're a B2B company and you have a podcast, why are you telling your sales reps, go post and go email prospects about your case study, your white paper? These are all salesy. And then you're asking your sales team to go ahead and post on LinkedIn, but they're like, I don't want to just post about my company. It just doesn't feel authentic and brand. I want to build my brand. So now I'm able to go ahead and start building my brand, asking engaging questions, whether I'm posting them on his comments or his LinkedIn, or I'm posting out there like, hey, what do people think? Or I can start having my marketing team going like, hey, if we are trying to enterprise sale get into there, these are 10 questions I know we need to answer because these are things that he's thinking about. Great. Like, what ways is Lufthansa leveraging technology to better understand their customers? If I can't answer that, how can I go sell my technology into there and make sure it fits? So now it's giving you all this research insights, so you can better go ahead and sell to them, as well as quotes. Now I've got quotes and going like, I love what Olivier had to say about this, and I post it, and then I give my own 2 cents on what he said, and now I'm engaging with him. I'm giving my own flavor.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many other ways to build it.
Wait, so even where my head went is that sometimes, let's say, so last, I think October it was, I was a moderator for Vid Summit. And Daryl Eves had said, Stephanie, we want you to be a moderator and ask a couple of our panelists some questions. Here's a couple videos that they've done and da-da-da. And literally before CastMagic, I locked myself in the room, in the hotel room, right? And I was like, okay, let me watch the videos, or let me try to download the transcript and all the different things. But this makes it so much easier for you, even as a moderator, as an MC, you know, when you're introducing speakers, whether it's a virtual summit or in person, but you can make it much more personalized. And I find that even as an MC or a moderator, this helps you stand out. You're not just reading, okay, here's another bio, but you actually know something a little bit more in depth. And if you find yourself becoming more intrigued, you could go down that rabbit hole and learn a lot more.
I love that you said I can stay basic or I can go down a rabbit hole. It's totally up to you, how far you want to go and where you want to leverage.
I love it. And Saeed, our facilitator, is saying, if you run this YouTube stream through CastMagic, would it create a rip in the time-space continuum? I think the video needs to be completed, right?
I don't know, Doc Brown. What do we got here? So the one last thing I want to show, we haven't touched on, is everything we're working on right now is recording by recording, right? But you've got many recordings. How do you create content from those many recordings? So let's take a look at how I use this Pages. Pages is now allowing me to take up to 5 recordings in a space and create something unique from it. So in this case, I took 5 coaching calls and I said, write an article. It's about 2,000, 3,000 words. So now I got this SEO-rich article or an FAQ. Like, I've got blog, whatever it is, Medium article, or standard output is something different. And I'll show you examples on that. And you come up with your prompts. So let's take a look at what I always start with. I took 5 coaching calls, right? And it turned into a course. So I'm like, you're a course creator. create me the framework of a course. And now I've got literally the framework of a course. I did this 3 times with 3 different prompts about creating 3 different course creating prompts. Aggregate that, went into Canva, built up my course, delivered it on stage, and then of course ran that through CastMagic and got the FAQs and everything else that I can give to the students who attended afterwards. But this is, once again, I'm reusing coaching calls and going, I don't care who I spoke with. If I'm talking about this with one person or multiple people, depending on how I've structured this, then can I make an entire course so I can go teach people as a whole and then get
Yeah.
more clients? Oh, wait, speaking of getting one-on-one clients, let's create an email sequence. Your podcast agencies help me write an email sequence to go get more clients. It knows exactly what I'm coaching about. So it wrote an email sequence for me that I can just throw into my email server and bam. Or from an article standpoint, you're a professional writer, someone at the New York Times, and these contain conversations. Please write me a long. And now I got this whole long article.
This is
All
from the 5 pieces of content that you created, and then it's wow.
these are from 5 coaching calls, and it's like literally breaking down five to all these components. And I did it a couple times. I'm like, all right, I like that article, but what would this be? This one was create the framework for a website landing page. The
Oh,
landing
I love
page
that.
should advertise the workshop. And there you go. Now I've got. So once again, how do I take existing content, repurpose it?
Mm-hmm.
Another way I like to think of this, I got a lot of, you wouldn't imagine this, but there's a lot of realtors and financial planners that are using CastMagic. Why? Imagine the fact that they don't have a podcast and not repurposing their podcast. They need to stay in front of their audience. So
Yeah.
that if they're going from client to client or house to house or whatever, they're like, I don't have the time to create content. But they're in the car. So like, all right, I got a thought. I can record my thought, one piece of content. I'm watching a Yahoo Finance video about the real estate market. Second piece of content I bring in here. And then maybe they've got an Instagram on the real estate market or another video. They bring that in here, and I use Pages to go ahead. Great, take these 3 pieces of content, one being my own in this case, and create a newsletter for me. So now I've got that newsletter based on 3 pieces of content I created or read or consumed, I should say, and I'm able to push out there.
This is wild. I feel like if you're a marketing team, a solopreneur, anything where you have to build your authority online, if you're not using this, I mean, like, prepared to be forgotten at this point, right? Before we jump to the next one, here's a question. My course videos are stored in Google Drive. Can they be uploaded from there?
So, great question. Right now, we've got Zapier. So, if they're in Google Drive, you can zap them in there. The team
Cool.
is literally working on a Google Drive integration. So, that would be the next way you can bring in. So, if you look at 7 here, the 8th would then be a Google Drive. But right now, you can zap them in from Google Drive if you didn't want to drag and drop it from your browsing
Yeah.
the file there. But yeah.
Such a no-brainer, because then oftentimes clients will send me over videos and then they want us to repurpose the content. Now I could just say, here's your drive, set up the zap, and then start working on what it is that we need to do. This Facebook user says, I'm quiet because I'm getting stuck into CastMagic. See, I told you, you become enamored, you become mesmerized with all the different things that you do as far as creating content. I love this. This is a
It's
no-brainer.
it is like the light bulb moment is just like, hold on, I've got all this content in the back. Or I was talking to a lady who has a yacht, and she's like, how could I use CastMagic for my yacht business? Because she's trying to get people. She's down in your area, San Diego.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, great, go record testimonials, whether bring a camera or just take out your phone. And after the person gets off the boat, like, tell me about your experience. Great. Now you take that recording, that becomes your quotes, your testimonial. That becomes the top headline for your social post, comes your newsletter, your blog. And now you're pulling in those pieces. And then you can have it write the blog for you. Like, what did this person say? Or start recording your own thoughts of why people would want your yacht. Like, if it's like, I've got the best yacht and the greatest crew and we do a great thing, like everyone says the same thing. So what separates you?
Yeah.
Recording that content, recording your testimonials, and then add your images on top of it. There you go. Now you're selling. Now you're creating more content. And you're selling more yacht trips.
I love it. And you're so popular. You get comments like, hey, I know that guy. I love it. Greg, you've been absolutely amazing. I love all the different use cases for this. I mean, I know that I personally set up the live stream so that way we could cast a wide net for all of the podcasters. But realistically, the reason why many of us are creating content is because we're trying to create a community and we're trying to get clients and we're trying to get conversions. And so I feel like CastMagic is really that all-in-one tool that helps you meet all of those goals. You have these certain challenges as you're building your community, your clientele and whatnot, and CastMagic has so many different ways where you could repurpose your content, learn more about your ICPs, what type of content you need to create around it. There's so much jam-packed into this, right? That it really is just a no-brainer. I feel like most marketing teams, if you're not using this, you're probably overpaying on a bunch of subscriptions that you shouldn't be. Because realistically, can you show like the pricing page again? It was ridiculous, right?
So it's minutes based. So 20-minute video uploaded is against your 300-minute. Or if you need more, if you're like, I don't need 800, but I need more than 300, it's just 20 cents a minute from that standpoint. If you're like, I don't need 25, but I don't need 800, 20 cents. I got people that are doing 10,000 minutes and they're paying 10 cents a minute to just continue to buy additional minutes. So like, the cost of the extraction of knowledge, the ability to take whatever that content is and figure out new ways to repurpose it, and it stays in the database. And you just like, ooh, I came up with a new prompt, and then this piece of content is like 3 months old. Great. Came with a new prompt, figure out how to extract that knowledge from that piece of content as opposed to not having the content at all.
I love that. And here's the thing too. I always tell people that as a part of the ECAMM fam, right? As part of ECAMM fam, your skill set will always be your safety net. And so me using ECAMM has launched so many different opportunities, speaking opportunities, publishing a book, remote live production. So use these tools to take you further along your creator economy journey in that sense. And so when I look at these price points, I was just like, that's nothing. I'm like, literally, you could sell a worksheet for $23, right? So if Saeed is doing his workshops, right? And you say, here's the replay, or here's this. If you have a virtual summit and you have 30 plus speakers, but then you actually make a workbook that is actionable. Again, this is why I love ECAMM Fam. Caleb actually does that, but he was doing it manually. And so now we look at CastMagic and it's like, yo, go for it.
So you talked about speaking. So there's a video I posted in our Slack community of a magician, and she's a public speaker. And what she does is she set up her space. She has a Bluetooth mic that she's then put on her lapel, set up to her phone, records her on stage, and then she tells her the conference, she's like, look, what you'll get is after my speech, you'll get you'll get this share page. So I'm going to send you my speech. You have the transcript of it. I'm also going to already created content that she's already prompted in there. And then she's like, I can also give that to the attendees. Now, don't you think people are going to want to hire her more? She's like, hold on, you're not only speaking of great things, but you're also then providing all this added value to us as a conference, but also to our attendees. Yeah, I want you on my stage because
So much
this is
value.
incredible. So much value.
Yeah, and here's how like I'm such a how person because I was like literally I would take that, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, right, a CSV, and then if I already have my Canva template for hey I'm doing this talk, I want to have a section for the table of contents, and then key takeaways and some questions, right? If I just build that out into a CSV and then it'll automatically populate that information in there, it's a no-brainer. Like it's not going to take me 2 weeks to put that together. It'll probably just take me like 2 minutes.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah,
You get it.
I love it.
And
Well,
we didn't even
Greg,
talk about the studio. We didn't even go into
oh,
the visual
can
side.
we still do it? Do you still have time? I have time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go.
If everyone wants to see some visual stuff, sure.
Yes.
So
And if you guys are loving this, give Greg some thumbs up. Tag your friends. If you're like, hey, we need this in the office, tag your boss, whoever your social media person. This is a no-brainer.
I do these workshops and I'm like, all right, well, how do we then take some good quotes that came out of this workshop? I'm like, oh, this is a good one. So I click the studio button and
This
now
is
I'm
the,
turning
yeah.
these into quote cards. So now I can go ahead and turn text into a quote card, choose an image, ask the AI for whatever image I'm kind of looking for. And in this example, So if we go back one step, I'll show you when I actually did an image studio. So great. I think of AI and CastMagic as one of those features in my workflow is like a calculator. Like, yes, I can do it long form. I can sit there and write it all out, or I can type it in, get the answer, and move on to the next thing. So I literally asked it, pasted that quote in there. I'm like, give me the image of a calculator. Now I got my quote card.
Done. Game over. Ah, this is, wait
And
a second.
then And then you want an audiogram, you can do an audiogram. So highlight a section of the text, hit the studio button, and it can either be a quote card or an audiogram. And there's the text that I've got and timestamp, and now I can start creating an image. And then pretty soon, a couple weeks, they'll be able to do video and video text overlay of video. So we're not trying to compete with some of the tools out there, but we all want to be able to make it all repurposable and what you need here.
I love this. I'll give you another pro tip as a speaker. You know, oftentimes people will always ask me, my clients will be like, "Oh, Stephanie, how do I book speaking stages?" I'm like, oftentimes if you connect with the other speakers and not just like, "Hey, Greg, I saw you're speaking at the Leap Into Live, event that's coming up. Nice to meet you. Let's connect." But if you actually called out and said, "Hey, Greg, I've been following you. I saw you on Lights Camera Live. I really liked it when you said this," that actually gets their attention a lot more, especially my good friend Roberto Blake. He's the same way. He's like, when people do a little bit more digging to try to get to know you, that relationship building, that rapport is fast tracked at that point,
Yep.
right?
It's all about connection.
Yeah. And so this is one of the best ways for you if you're a speaker and you want to book more speaking gigs, get connected to other speakers by watching their content, downloading their podcast, doing all the different things, and really get to know them. And then even event organizers or whoever, but really this is how you build rapport on a much deeper level. So many people are using AI at just a surface level of like BS stuff, right? But to your point, you had said that it's really about the input, and the input is really unique to that particular person that was putting the content out there. And so you're asking these really intellectual questions about their content that's much more meaningful than just some generic stuff that you would get.
I love how you brought up another point. Like, if I've got a lot of PR people that are getting their clients on podcast, and podcasters tell you all the time, like, if you're trying to pitch me as a guest in your show, show me you know me type deal, right? Well, great. Let me bring in that person's podcast in here and then have it understand what could I write as an email to be a guest on this person's show based on who I am. And now I can pull that together and go like, maybe I bring in a piece of content that I've said, bring in their piece of content, go to Pages and go, now write me an email on why this host should get me as a guest.
That's a no-brainer. Okay, so for you podcasting, if you're booking your clients on podcasts, virtual stages, in-person stages, the Show Me You Know Me strategy with CastMagic, to see that in and of itself is a course. I honestly can't wait to make a course out of this. Like, I'm literally going to make a YouTube playlist where I'm like, let's go through this first one. This is how I would use it. Here's a worksheet for you to actually create what I just taught you, and go ham.
And I love that. So once again, if you've got your clients that are guesting on people's podcasts, you're going to have a CastMagic account and you're going to set it up with a context prompt. In this case, these recordings are podcast episodes where Greg Wasserman's the guest and the AI content should be written in the first person for Greg. Great. Now I'm taking their show that they were a guest on, putting it in here, using that context prompt. So it's all written for me as a guest instead of trying to figure out how do I write this based on the host.
Yeah. That is so cool. You guys, what questions do you have? Or are you in the comments multitasking? Because I always crack up, Greg, because usually in the beginning of the shows, comments are like, do, and then it slows down. And I never get worried because I'm like, I know that they love this as much as I do. And they probably have another tab open trying to do as quickly as possible what you're telling them to do.
Signing up for the iOS app, right? There we go.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's a question. Just downloaded a video from Drive. Tried to upload to CastMagic, but format doesn't work. It's an MOV file. Is that an issue?
So file formats, you can do M4A, MP3, MP4, WAV, and SAC or AAC. So I don't think you can do a .mov file. This is where I'm blanking on the technical. I know we've been asked this question.
There's a little Generally, if you just were to search how to convert .mov over to an MP4, you'll find free things out there for you. At least on my end. I mean, honestly, okay, here's a hack. Upload over to Canva if Canva takes an MOV, and then just download it as MP4. There, done. And then whoop, go over to CastMagic. You got it. Cool. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean, we've covered so much. I mean, usually after calls, everyone's like overwhelmed because I'm like, yes, the overwhelming feeling is there because it does so much, baby steps and just start, but you're also not alone. I mean, like you've got the two of us, you've got 1,300 other people. And so, yeah, just start doing it. You have no excuse not to now.
Greg, I feel like we should just do a challenge, and we should just say, hey, let's do a 30-day challenge. Choose one, whether it's the customer sales call or it's going to be this or that, and then just run through it and say, like, at the end of, I don't know, 7 days or 14 days, what did you learn, right? And what content did you create from it? And have your own case study. Another idea, because that's me, I would do a challenge for social media marketers and say, hey, you want to create your marketing portfolio, right? Like, this is how you repurpose content, show all the different ways that you do this when you're going in for a pitch, right? Here's a Canva template on how I would pitch a client of, hey, I would be the best social media marketer for you, or UGC content creator, whatever, fill in the blank, and then go after it. And see, I told you I was right, Greg, because it says, got it. Yes, multitasking.
You know your audience. You know
I
your
know them
audience.
so well. I could see it. Okay, here's another one. Any
What's the
tips
question?
again about making a few podcast episodes into a mini course or worksheet using CastMagic? So we
Oh,
talked
yeah,
about,
I didn't show that. So this is one of my favorite prompts. So let me go, where is it? Course creator prompt. So I literally take every podcast episode, run it through this course creator prompt, and now I've got the outline of a course. And so let me show you what that is. A prompt. Create a 3-module course with 3 lessons in each course based on the podcast. Include suggestions for a course name, an intro, and a conclusion. Include a 3-question multiple choice quiz with answers and a 10-point checklist. Include those 3 social media posts to promote the course. Do not mention the podcast. And so now I've got, based on this specific recording, course name suggestions, course intro, modules with the 3 lessons, module 2 with 3 lessons, module 3 with 3 lessons, course conclusion, quiz with the answers, and then 3 social media posts there.
okay, I have something to add. So, because I have created probably 6 LinkedIn learning courses, and I have worked with course design companies to put those together. And this is exactly what they're looking for. They will ask me, okay, Stephanie, can you put together what the modules would look like? What's the content that would be in there? And what's the activity for our learners to actually implement what you just taught them? And so oftentimes I would sit there in a Google sheet and filling it out. And this is going to help me so much more in pitching to these course companies that either are on like Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, if you're developing your own course. There's so much that you could do with this, friends. Like, honestly, if you're, God, like if you're like on the fence about this, just call me. Just literally slide into my DMs, be like, Stephanie, I don't know, like whatever. Just call me, and then we'll talk through it, because this is a game changer for you. There's so many different ways that you can use this and leverage this. Did you want to add a little bit more to this one?
So no, I was just going to answer the Facebook question.
Okay,
Is it in
good.
community prompts? No, but it is in the prompt database sheet. I just typed in course. So it's a Bloomberg Taxonomy one that you can just copy from there. So it's not actually in the community prompts, but it is in on the worksheet. So that is tagged in the favorite prompts channel. So if you need
On
access to
Slack.
that in Slack, favorite prompts channel, I've pinned it. You got access to it there. Or if you do the onboarding, I don't know if this person's playing around or they've already been using it, but yeah, that is there.
It's all there. And again, friends, are we going to talk about affiliates? Is affiliates a thing?
Affiliate is definitely. So if we go back to this share link, right? So if you are a podcaster, you should be automating all your content to give to your guest. If you're not, you're missing out, which most podcasters don't. I literally now have a tool that can go ahead and create blog, newsletter, social promotions, all those things. And the joy is if I look at these three little dots here, it says display and share link or hide it. So if it's displayed in share link, that's why it's going to show up here. If it's not checked, it's not going to show up here. So now I can send this share link and go in, hey, thank you so much for being on my show, Stephanie. I've created some content for you. If you want to go ahead and read the transcript, here it is. You want to listen to it, great. But the core thing is here's all the content that I've already automated for you. So coaches are using this once again because like, hey, thank you for being a client. Here's our call. You want to go extract. So this is where they're putting their worksheet, anything else. And then you enable Magic Chat. So from the guessing standpoint, you're like, I don't like what you wrote. If you understand prompting, then great. Go ahead and create your own LinkedIn prompt and extract that. But at least I'm giving you access to so much more. So internal meetings, people are like, great, I recorded the meeting. Here are all the notes and here's all the information. They use the share link.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
If I'm sending this to my guest and they're using Magic Chat, are you using my minutes or they have to create an account?
There's
to
no
unlock?
minutes only have to do with the time that was uploaded, right? So
But
I don't have to be a user.
Yeah.
So right now the shared link is anyone's able to access that as a shared link. Or if we go to a embedding example, so on a website, course creators do this, or in this case, they did it as a podcast. They embed it into their place here. So they've enabled Magic Chat. So anyone that's coming to their podcast, each episode, I can ask it whatever I want to extract whatever I may want. So your original question was about affiliate. This little sign up button is associated with your affiliate account. So if I click become an affiliate, PartnerStack's who we use, 30% rev share for 18 months in every sale. So if I attach my affiliate link in here, anytime someone clicks there, I get money, right? So as a podcaster, every guest should be getting this. And that's why wouldn't they be becoming a user? So every guest becomes another revenue stream. I'm also empowering them to promote. It's a win-win-win-win.
Oh my God, this is crazy. This is crazy. Because one of my favorite talks is 94 ways to repurpose your live stream. And at the very end, I'll say, okay, and I know that we covered a lot. And so here is the link, right? Here's the shared link where you can grab all the things and all the things. And then if they sign up as an affiliate, I mean, honestly, I have people ranging in the room anywhere from like 35 to 500. And so just to be like, boop, here you go. Exactly. That's my reaction. This has been great.
I got course creators like yourself who are using the embedded link like they're using here, but with the course stuff. And they've like, great, here is the lecture. Here's all the AI content they've already created for their students. And if they want to enable Magic Chat, they can enable Magic Chat so the student can ask and start learning more from that module. So you're like, I am now literally creating an entire course all through CastMagic based on your recordings of each whatever module you're doing.
Are you embedding? Can I? So my community and my courses live on either Thinkific or Heartbeat. So is this embedded into there?
I'm not too familiar with how those two platforms work from an embedding standpoint. But if nothing else, then you use the share link. And you're like, hey,
Yeah, the embedding
here's
works in
the
there.
link.
Okay, cool.
I'm not sure how the embedding works. There are too many platforms to keep in mind.
It's okay. I'll create a course about it, Greg. Don't worry about
There you
it.
go. There you go.
I'll do that. Okay. One last question. Because
Go for
the question that people will always ask, especially when it comes to AI, is like, hey, if I'm having these private phone calls with my clients and whatnot, how do I know that that information stays safe?
Great question. So we use one of the backends we've got is OpenAI, and we have OpenAI's API. Say that 5 times. It's a really tongue twister for me. But by using their API, we are not training their information. So while it's stored on our platform, we're not training. Nothing's being trained. So the safety is more of just like, are you worried about our system being hacked and so forth? But also, what do you feel comfortable with? I've got therapists that are doing, I've got coaching, but if you don't feel comfortable, you can completely understand. Keep that in mind.
Got it. Here's the other
Nothing
question.
is being trained.
English only?
Oh, no. We've got so many. So the course creator I was just describing to you is in Germany. They're a huge German course creator. They are huge in leveraging the course component. So from a language standpoint, let me go to a language, edit recordings. So it is English to English, Spanish to Spanish, 1-to-1.
Got it.
So I can't take a German recording and go transcribe this whole thing in English for me. It'd be German to German, Spanish to Spanish. But you can come up with prompts and say, Magic Chat, write me a LinkedIn post in German. Wrote me. Okay, this is a problem when you try and type quick. So,
No, okay. Okay. I love that I could see this count time to it. Literally, Greg,
there was that 11 seconds.
that's insane.
I can't tell you. I don't speak German. I've got a German last name. I couldn't speak it, but this is now I can copy this. I can paste it. I can edit it. I can or I can automate this going like, great, I liked what this said. I'm going to save this prompt. And every time I run a piece of content, it's going to give me this German prompt LinkedIn post.
I love this. There's
also a concern for course IP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we covered that when you were talking about OpenAI and its API. And now I see the tongue twister.
Right?
Yeah, that's great. This is really amazing. CastMagic, it's a no-brainer for me. This is one of the things, Greg, I don't know if you know this, but oftentimes I'm working with clients that, they're struggling in creating content. And my whole thing is I will help you go from unknown to unforgettable by leveraging a video first strategy. Literally, I could get you into a Zoom room, ask you very specific questions, and having you really go in depth about your topic. And then from there, like literally show them how to use CastMagic to create that content. Or if they don't want to do the heavy lifting with the graphics and all the things and even scheduling, my team will take care of that because we specialize in creating digital confetti. Question for you. Tell me about the future of CastMagic. Like, will scheduling be involved in this somehow? What are you thinking right now? Integrations,
we've talked
partnerships?
about that. Right now, Zapier is the biggest one we've got. The hard thing is there's so many scheduling platforms out there. How do we integrate with Hootsuite or Buffer or all these other ones? So right now we're like, great, let's take a look at what people are using with Zapier to figure out what we should do, which is why they're working on the Google Drive, because we saw so many people directly going from Google Drive with a Zap. It's like, great, let's just make it easier for you.
Very cool.
So, yeah, I guess that's probably where I would put in terms of integrations. But we're always open. Like,
yeah,
we've built this so quickly, so well, and we're really just kind of seeing what others are doing. The next components are really going to be, how do we organize your content better? How do we make it more accessible? Because right now, Pages is just at a space level, but if I want to go ahead and take pieces of content across multiple spaces, that would be great to do. So eventually, things are continuing to roll out. You've been with us for a bit, so you've only seen how quick and how much is getting done.
Yeah. I have multiple accounts. I was kind of like, I want to do it on this one and this and kind of play around with it. And so what's fun is what I plan on doing, Greg, is I'm going to do like a live product demo probably tomorrow and just say, okay, so I just had an episode with Greg. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to repurpose that content, doing exactly what he and I just talked about. And everyone consider that as co-working hours. So if you want to open up CastMagic as we do it together, then I think that would be really fun, because I'm always repurposing content for clients, coming up with new ideas and all the different things. I'm actually interested in doing the 10 questions that you had mentioned about, and then just doing like a short recording just to demo how the app works and how quickly it goes into the system, and then really go from there.
Amazing. I'm all for it.
All right,
However I can
friend.
support you, however I can support your community, I'm all for it. At the end of the day, like, you've got no reason not to do it. They're following you already, so they should be. Now that they've just got easier ways to do it even more.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. Greg, you've been absolutely amazing. You crushed it. You killed it. The studio thing too, man. kudos to you, sir, to you and the team. You guys have been doing absolutely amazing. And I love the grassroots marketing that you're doing. I love that the SaaS in and of itself is very much community led and product driven in that sense, because you're really listening to what we need as creators to push content out there, and you're making it ridiculously simple, and I love it.
I mean, we're the creators itself. Like it's nice to know this tool started because of our own use case, and it's just expanded from there because you guys are guiding it and we're using it as well. So the channel we have internally of our own internal feedback of like, I wish it would do this, and then like you look at our Slack feedback channel and you're like, all right, we're all on parity, so we know what we've got to be doing. But
Yeah.
that's why it just keeps being built.
All right. Well, having said that, where can they find you? Where can they connect with you? Best place to find you?
LinkedIn, Greg Wasserman, nice and easy. That's where I live. That's where I post. If you have a podcast, every Monday I post 3 podcasts I think people should listen to. How I got this job. That's how we got connected with. Yeah, so I post every Monday. In December of 2022, I did their show, which is the foundation of what CastMagic was, DTC Pod. The idea wasn't even there. They hadn't even thought of the idea of CastMagic. And then in February, they hit me up once they had already started building it. They had an MVP, and they're like, you seem to know a lot about podcasting.
Did
We
you
built
just
this
start in
tool."
February? No way.
The company's idea started January or New Year's Eve 2022.
Okay. Okay. I was like,
I
not this
joined
year.
April, basically when it started, April 2023. Yeah, so
Wow.
we're past a year, and I'm almost here for a year.
Oh, congratulations. Well,
Thank you.
they're very lucky to have you, because I know your background as far as like you like to geek out as much as I do. And I even loved how you were telling me how before in the past, how you would prep for interviews and you do all these different things. And I was like, I feel like this role just fits you perfectly. And they definitely found the right person. So thank you, CastMagic, for finding Greg, because Greg is awesome.
Well, this also just goes to show content you keep putting out there, you don't know when it's going to be found. How did I know that a post in December was going to
Yeah.
lead to a job opportunity in February? No, I had no clue. You're just putting it out there and you're
Yeah.
hoping, especially since LinkedIn's changed their algorithms, like you don't know what a blog 3 years from now is going to lead to anything. So put it out there.
I love that. Yeah. People always say, even as an entrepreneur, you go through seasons in life. Sometimes you have the planting season, the nurturing season, and then you get to you reap what you sow. And here you are, reaping what you sow. Happy for you, friend.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. As always, if you couldn't stay for the whole entire time, I'll repurpose this content for you, because I know everyone has different learning styles. And I'll show you exactly how I do it with CastMagic tomorrow. So I'll schedule that out there. And then you could just follow along and see how I'm doing this, building my business, and going from there. Greg, I'll stop the show for now, but hang tight, because I just want to geek out with you a little bit more.